Uh, Hello friends, this is Love and you are watching my channel, and in today's topic we will talk about the remaining part of the EEG and epilepsy, that is we will today talk about epilepsy syndromes. So basically there are various type of epilepsy syndrome. We will start from the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. So in the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, basically this syndrome occurs in the children. So the first point is this syndrome occurs in the children. Another thing you should know that there in this syndrome there is a triad of symptoms that we will see. So this is a triad. So you can see this is in first two I have written the multiple seizures. So the children will have multiple seizures in same day. Multiple seizure in same day. So what kind of seizures will be there? So let us suppose if the person is having generalized tonic-clonic seizure in the morning. So in the morning the person will have the children will have the generalized tonic-clonic seizure, and in the afternoon you will see that there will be atypical absent seizure, and in the night you will see that children is having a tonic seizure. So basically there are three type of seizure that you will encounter in the patient of the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. They are I said you generalized tonic-clonic seizure, atypical absent seizure, and atonic seizure. So there are multiple seizure and multiple episode occur in the same day. So this is the main thing that we should know in Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. And while talking about the EEG, there is a very specific that the frequency of the wave is less than 2.5 hertz. So it is a slow escape wave pattern. And yes, such type of child is usually mentally impaired, or you can say there is a impaired cognitive function, due to which there will be mental retardation. So there is a mental. So usually the child is mentally retarded. We can say the child is mentally retarded. So such type of features will be seen in Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. Another question is, what is the main reason for the cause of the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome? So the main reason is birth injuries. So during the birth, if there is some kind of obstetric injury, then the children can have this syndrome. So obstetric injury, or during the birth, if there is any kind of hypoxia in the child, then there can be this syndrome. Another syndrome is juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. So usually the juvenile myoclonic epilepsy patient are usually of 10 to 19 years. Then you will ask me, then I have said the name juvenile. So the name is suggesting that the patient should be very small, but I am telling the patient is about 10 to 19 years. The real thing is that usually the problem start in the very childhood. I mean the problem starts after the birth. The problem actually start after the birth, but it is not evident at that time. So during the very smaller ages, or in the less than 10 years of age, usually the disease is not so much evident, as in less than 5 to 10 years, usually the parents take care of everything in children. They will not allow the children to do much of any activities, and that's why the disease may remain unnoticed during the 5 to 10 years. That's why the symptom will be more evident when the patient crosses the 10 years. And the main peculiar feature that we will encounter is that there will be early morning myoclonic jerk. That when in morning, when the patient take the breakfast, then during the breakfast he spill the food while eating. So he is actually taking some food with the spoon, then he will actually just throw out the spoon while eating. The patient party may tell you that my child is actually spilling the food usually while eating. And they will also tell you that he takes very long time to tie button of his shirt, to actually untie clothes. So this type of symptom may the patient party will tell you. And while talking about in EEG, yes, one more thing, this juvenile myoclonic epilepsy has a main thing that there is a myoclonic jerk, that is sudden movement of the sudden involuntary movement of basically hand or legs. So there are certain voluntary movement of the hand or legs. So sometimes they will actually kick, do like the kick movement, or they will actually whatever is in their hand, they will throw them out. So that kind of the movement can be seen, and it can be seen multiple times in a day. But yes, the symptom will be more in the early morning, and usually this symptom myoclonic jerk is precipitated by sleep deprivation. So if the children has not slept well in the night, then usually in the morning that particular day the symptom will be more enhanced. And while talking about the EEG, 4 to 6 hertz of waves are seen, and the main thing is that the amplitudes are so much changing. So the amplitudes are changing, that is a poly spike pattern. So you can see in this picture the poly spike pattern is clearly seen. And yes, in the juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, there is no problem in the loss of consciousness. So there is no any kind of loss of consciousness. Consciousness is usually preserved in this condition. So there will be no any loss of consciousness. And one more thing, that the patient of the juvenile myoclonic epilepsy can develop generalized tonic-clonic seizure in the adult stage of life. So when he become adult, he may develop the generalized tonic-clonic seizure. So this is a very not good thing for the parents to know, that if they will know that my child will have the generalized tonic-clonic seizure in further future days, then yes, there will be very sad condition to the parents. Now the third epilepsy syndrome is mesial temporal lobe epilepsy. So usually in mesial temporal lobe epilepsy, this happens when there is a head injury, and after the head trauma, there is the sclerosis of the or fibrosis of the. So there will be a sclerosis of the hippocampal area of the brain, and as the hippocampal area is related to the cognitive function, its function is related to the cognitive function. That's why the person of the mesial temporal lobe epilepsy will have impaired cognitive function, or we can say the patient will ultimately develop the focal seizure with impaired awareness. So initially, such type of patient of the mesial temporal lobe epilepsy, usually the patient is children or the pediatric age group, and they will have the febrile seizure as the patient grows. So in children they will have the febrile seizure, but as the patient grows, later they will develop the focal seizure with impaired awareness. I said you the reason behind it, that the impaired awareness or the decreased cognitive function or dyscognitive function is basically due to the sclerosis of the hippocampal area. And they will develop the symptom of the automatism, like they will develop the lip smacking, mouth chewing, there will be abnormal mouth movements. So that kind of symptoms can be seen, but the patient will not aware about what he is going through. And yes, in this disease, do not respond to the medical therapy. So do not respond to medicines, but yes, they respond very good to the surgery. So the mainstay of treatment is surgery. So this is the main treatment. And in the mesial temporal lobe epilepsy, in EEG, there will be actually unilateral or there will be bilateral temporal lobe spikes. So in the temporal lobe leads, there will be spikes present unilaterally or bilaterally in the EEG, and that you can easily see in this picture also. On MRI, as there is the hippocampal sclerosis, so in MRI you can also see the hippocampal sclerosis. So you can see in this picture there is a hippocampal sclerosis seen in the MRI. So let's summarize once, that if there is a seizure in the morning in the children, and that is precipitated by sleep deprivation, then the patient will be of the juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. If the child is having multiple seizure in a particular day and he is mentally retarded, the child can be of the Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. And if there is an infant with stiffness in the neck and head turned in the forward direction, like the position of salam, then they are the patient of salam seizure. Let's see the age-wise different condition where the myoclonic seizure or the jogs are seen. So if the patient is less than 1 year of age and usually the trunk and neck muscles are involved and the seizure will be like the salam, so they are salam seizure. If the patient is 8 years old and he has not taken the measles vaccine and now the measles vaccine of the another variety attacked his body, as he's not actually taken any kind of measles vaccine, but the measles altered type of measles virus has attacked his body and now he has suffered from the subacute sclerosing panencephalitis. So in this case the patient will have the myoclonic seizure or jogs, and that is known as subacute sclerosing panencephalitis. Usually the patient of the subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, the patient will be like that they will actually not play with their friends, they will not actually obey the what the parents tell, they will actually do not recognize their family though they are 8 years of age. So there will be symptoms like they will actually do not obey parents, they will not play, they will not actually recognize family, so do not recognize family, and they try to just remain asleep every time, so remain sleepy all the time. So so many parents may think that my child is very good, he is actually not interested in other activities, but no, that is not the thing. The main thing is that the child is having some disease that is subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, and now due to that he is having the myoclonic seizure jogs, and along with this condition. If the child is of 10 to 19 years of age, then there can be the juvenile myoclonic epilepsy that we have already discussed. And if the patient is of 30 years of age, there is a history of beef intake. So if there is history of beef intake, then there can be the myoclonic jerk along with the dementia. So if there is a myoclonic jerk along with the dementia means the patient will forget some memory. So there will be myoclonic jerk along with dementia. So the patient will be now of VCJD, that is known as variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. So I will write the spelling. Variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. So if there is a history of beef intake and such type of adult patient will tell you the history of myoclonic jogs, the reason can be Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Let's summarize the EEG. If the number of waves is, the frequency is less than 2.5 Hz, the patient will be of the atypical absence seizure, or we say that the patient will be of Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. If the frequency of the wave is exactly equal to 3 Hz, then the patient will be of the typical absence seizure. And if the frequency is 4 to 6 Hz, then the patient like the police spike pattern, that the amplitude of the waves are so much variable, there is a police spike pattern, then that the patient will be of the juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. And if there is the like the wave will be like this, so there is a periodic rise of the spikes. So this is known as periodic sharp wave complex, and the one spike to another spike, the time of the difference is 1 second. So one spike comes after just 1 second, another spike come after 1 second of the first spike. So such type of spike pattern will be seen in variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. So just we have studied variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. So such type of EEG pattern will be seen in the patient of the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. So remember this. And if there will be the triphasic wave, if there will be presence of triphasic wave, the wave like this, so why it is called triphasic wave? See, these are actually known as minus and these are known as plus. So this downgoing wave is known as plus and the upgoing wave is known as minus. So 2 minus 1 plus, that's why it is known as triphasic wave. So you can say that the plus wave is surrounded by the negative wave, I know, or positive wave is surrounded by the negative wave. So such type of waves are known as triphasic waves. Triphasic waves, and these triphasic waves are seen in the especially condition like the metabolic acidosis, encephalopathy, basically hepatic encephalopathy, and yes, this sharp periodic wave complex is also seen in the basically subacute sclerosing panencephalitis. So in subacute sclerosing panencephalitis also we will see the periodic sharp wave. But triphasic wave are seen in the metabolic acidosis or the hepatic encephalopathy. Now let's talk about the febrile seizure. So febrile seizure are basically two types: typical febrile seizure and atypical febrile seizure. Usually the febrile seizure occurs in less than 5 years of age, and usually the seizure occurs in, let's talk about the typical febrile seizure first. So usually this in typical febrile seizure occur in 24 hours of the fever, and the seizure lasts for at least 10 minutes, not more than that. And basically for the man, it is the most common seizure that we will encounter in the children. And for the management, the first thing that we will do, that we will actually decrease the body temperature. So to decrease the body temperature, we will give basically the paracetamol. So paracetamol is the most safest drug that will be given to decrease the temperature, and you can go for the hydrotherapy. So what is hydrotherapy? Hydrotherapy means that from a vessel you keep the water, and in this water from this cold water is taken, and a cloth is inserted inside this vessel, and once the cloth is wet, then the wet cloth is applied over the face, hand and body of the patient, and by that also the temperature is lowered down. So this is also very good thing in management. And we will also rule out the meningitis, as if there is a meningitis, we have to also go for the antibiotics treatment. And but you should never give the aspirin, as aspirin itself causes seizure. And you can basically for the real management of seizure, you will give the diazepam or lorazepam. And if anyone will tell you that what can be given for the, if any child is having so much febrile seizure and you want to prevent that, so for the prevention you will give the 2 tablets. One, if there is a fever but seizure has not arrived, you can give the paracetamol. And if there is no fever but also you think that the fever may lead to the seizure, or the fever is present but the seizure has not present, you can give the oral clobazam. So oral clobazam and paracetamol can be given as a for the prevention of the typical febrile seizure. And for the management, we will give the diazepam that can be given rectally, or lorazepam can be given, and yes, paracetamol plus hydrotherapy is mainstay of treatment. But you should know one thing very clearly, that usually the diazepam and lorazepam is indicated to give the rectally. But to administer a drug in a child from the rectal route, it's very unfamiliar or unpractical type. That's why we will for the management we will give the midazolam puff. So we will give the midazolam, and midazolam is available in the intranasal form. So we will give the intranasal puff of the midazolam. So this will be quite effective as the diazepam, and so this is practical also. Anyone can give the intranasal midazolam puff. So other all things in the typical and atypical seizure are typical and atypical febrile seizure are same, but the only difference is that there will be no postictal deficit in case of typical seizure. So what is postictal deficit? Postictal deficit means once the attack of seizure is over, the patient will aware of his or her surrounding. There will be no any kind of loss of consciousness, no any kind of confusion, or no any kind of problem after the seizure is over. But in the atypical febrile seizure, there will be presence of postictal deficit, that the patient will actually unaware of the surrounding, or the patient will actually have some kind of postictal deficit. And there will be also positive family history of the atypical febrile seizure, and such type of patient will develop the focal seizure with impaired awareness in the near future or the coming days. So this is atypical seizure is somehow not good, but typical seizure is very most common. Once the child crosses its age of the child age, then there will be no such precipitate the episodes of febrile seizure. And the management of the atypical seizure also is same as the typical seizure.